small and medium businesses are struggling. I've been canvassing a lot of them. I believe a third of them don't think they're going to make business. It's that
Excuse us. I'm just going to squeeze her to the front.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, come through.
The PPP is basically a private-public partnership where private investors fund the hospital itself. There's private consulting suites, the private sector and the public hospitals.
Hello, DME. Right. Well, thank you very much for the warm welcome. And last night and this morning, my God, why did I wait so long to come down here? But it's been absolutely fantastic. Why are you here? Because you want change. Are you fed up? Too right you are. Am I fed up? Too right I am. For 30 years now, I was first elected to Parliament on the 2nd of March 1996, that's 30 years ago, but people don't realise I was out of politics for 18 of those years and out running the political party 13 of those years. My decision to come back into the party in 2015 was because I knew the country was in one hell of a mess. So I was asked to come back to lead the party, which I did. In our first election back into the Senate 2016, we won 4 Senate, 7 members elected just recently, which is fantastic for the party.
Yeah.
This by-election, which Darren, thank you very much for running, Darren, putting your hand up. It's not easy to be a candidate to see yourself as a member of Parliament. Will Darren be able to make big change? No, don't expect it because he won't. He'll be just the one member of the lower house. But it will send a clear message to the rest of the state that you're not wasting your vote voting for One Nation if he wins the seat here, which I think is good. People who come up to Queensland from Victoria said, "You poor buggers, I can't blame you getting out of the state." And that's how I feel. I've never seen a state in such a mess as this state is. You're taxed to the hilt. Your services are dying, you don't have decent healthcare, you don't have police, increased crime, the machetes, unbelievable, but you're not alone because it's happening right across the country in other states. It's just worse here because we're so I do believe it can change with good decision makers, and that's the people that you elect to Parliament, and it can change. Am I different to the rest of the political parties? You bet I am. I don't tell you the same old rhetoric. What I say, I do. And I fight for you. And I fight for those people in the Senate, especially that I represent in Queensland, but for all people around the country. We have a great opportunity in our country, and we let it just slide. We now are dependent on welfare payments or government jobs in this nation. Whereas the country that I grew up in, that we're proud, we had the resources, we had the financial backing, we could had business, industries, manufacturing. The kids had a future. What have we got now? Nothing. And if anything will tell us, this is really a clear indication where we are going as a nation. We have to utilise our resources. We need to actually get a better taxation system, which I will be introducing before the next election. I want a fairer tax system that is going to encourage people to work, not sit at home and think they have a right and a privilege to do nothing. Everyone must contribute to this country unless you're aged or you're not well or you're sick. Future generations, thank you for the young ones coming here today. It's a really privilege to see you, meet you, and that you take interest in your politics. As I said to the young ones, it's not about One Nation. It's about taking an interest and looking at the policies of all political parties and the candidates that stand for Parliament. It's about your future. Take an interest. You're wrong about migration. We should be allowing these people into the country. And I said, not at the rate we are. I said, we can't manage it. This country's been built on a lot of migrants who come here for a new way of life, who have embraced our nation, but they have assimilated, and we have the resources to provide for the extra number of people coming in the country with housing, water, infrastructure, roads. Now we don't. And he said, oh, well, we can manage. I said, do we? I said, what size house do you live in? How many bedroom? He said, oh, about 4 bedroom. I said, okay. I said, how about we put another 40 people in your house? How do you feel about it? And he said, oh, he's trying to tell me they'd manage. And I said, right, I don't believe you. I don't believe you can manage. And that's exactly what our home is, our country. And you can't keep bringing more and more people in the country if we can't manage to house them, look after them. And besides that, my duty is to the Australian people first and foremost. I have to make sure that people have a roof over their head, a decent health care. I'm not a representative of the rest of the world. I'm a representative of the Australian people first and foremost. Just to touch on this, and it has been raised with me in a way that people might be able to understand how the preference system works. It is my aim that I will be putting out more information, because when people say, oh, where does the party's preferences go? We don't mark the ballot paper. You do. It's how you preference it. Your how to vote cards are only a recommendation. You do not have to follow it. So when you come to vote, you look at who's the best candidate to represent you. Then if they don't get up, then you think to yourself, well, okay, if they don't get up, who's the next best choice? And you go down the list that way, and you put them in order of your preference. From number one, which is your best preference, down to the last one. I always recommend put the Greens last, Labor second last. Yes, and of course the Teals, we can choose if you want Teal second last or Labor second last, but that's your choice. I think the Teals are nothing but a green activist party, got a lot to answer for the destruction of this nation. So that's how you look at your how to vote cards. So the one who gets the lowest votes goes out first, then their preferences. Most important to use our resources to the best of our ability to bring monies into the country. So we're looking at a scheme very much like Norway. Norway utilised their gas. They've got about a $2 trillion fund for their people. So everyone there is worth about $400,000. If you look in Australia, we're in debt for each person in this country, whether it's state or federally. So we will be pushing that. What we have done is set the agenda for the major political parties. They're following our lead on a lot of the policies. That's what we're about. To get good government, you must have good opposition. And that's what we have tried to do throughout. And that would be Darren's job to do it. You get elected to Parliament, Darren, I expect so much out of you in the next 6 months. You might be his constituents, but I tell you what, I'm going to be his boss, and I'll be looking over him.
Make a lot of noise.
Yeah. So that's what it's out there, working hard for us, the people, and that's why it's so important to me. But I do appreciate that you put up your hand. To run a business, it's extremely hard. People have no idea how hard it is to be a candidate and what's expected of you, and especially when you're trying to run a business and keep your head above water. So, congratulations and thank you. And I hope that you get behind him. It's about manning the polling booths. It's about getting out there. It's not just one man that's running this race. It's all of you running this race in this by-election. It is a team effort. People say thank you for sticking there and doing your job. And I said, I can't do it as one person. I've run this organisation with a team. And it means that each and every one of us in our own way can actually do that. So whether you want to help on the polling booth, whether you want to, if you can give a few dollars to his campaign, which helps with campaigning materials and getting the how vote cards out, call flutes and that type of thing, that helps as well. But it's also about talking to the people that you know. Maybe you want to do some letterbox dropping. That would help as well. Going to the afternoon walk. All these little things. And the most important one is that you vote for it, number one, right? And then talk to your neighbours and friends also to give One Nation a go. That's longer. You really turned the weather on for me.
Yeah.
Melbourne.
Welcome to Melbourne.
So anyway, it's just while I've got my knitted jumpers, so it's nice and warm. But it's wonderful to see so many of you here today, and I appreciate it. If I haven't got around to seeing you, please come up and see me. But I tell you what, I hope there's a burger over there because I didn't have dinner last night. So you haven't fed me since I've been in Melbourne.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to a cup
Warren.
of coffee.
You on that, Taylor?
Anyway, but anyway.
double patty. Make sure it's double, triple.
I haven't sent that to you yet. If you'd like to photo with me,
Yes.
no problem. But I'm going straight for that burger.
I reckon we make an access way for the boss to get straight.
Yeah, she sounds hungry.
We should get a photo
I will do.
together.
Yeah, for sure. I will do.
They're good though. I was just saying to Zoltan, we're going to get a group photo together, Paul.
Yes, we do. We do. We will. So it's been a good turnout. I came over too late. I was going to get one more of them. I was going to get. Yeah, I got one. Yeah, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to be a pig and eat too many. I only had one. But
That's all right. There's plenty of others that came for second.
did they?
Yeah.
That'd be right. Anyway.
Yeah. I think everyone pretty much. Yeah. The amount of people like, I would have done. It's just like they try to stop me. Oh, he's having a litigation. He's talking to Sahil.
The lady here was very nice.
I think there's a pen on the paper over there. Grab later.
See a bit of the footy.
So that just means like.
See what Pauline Hanson is doing is I want to drive the whole day between the waiting and then the change. So chuck it on your TV. No. You don't want to get run over by Although I don't know if this hospital...
Yeah, I'm good. You might get set up.
What, tell them that you want to get rid of free medicine, Pauline.
What are we at on the volunteers behind here? That's all right, no, you won't.
Pauline, you're the most despicable politician you've ever had. Have a nice day. I love you. I'm a loving person, Harvey. I didn't mention race. You mentioned race. Apologies. I said she's
Race, I said race. You mentioned
Hey, we're all racists. Where's my? I wish I had my shirt on right now.
We're also all immigrants, unless you're Aboriginal.
And every immigrant who comes to be closing the door behind them because they're
Let's go.
climate
Press
change.
conference.
Have you say at the ballot box also.
Pauline, do you want to go ahead?
Let's go.
Do you want to go ahead? And if it kicks off, we can stop again. We're cutting it up.
What about the PBS? Why do you want to cancel them?
Who said I do? I've never, ever,
It's on your
ever,
website.
I have never, ever seen your website. You are so wrong. You are so ill-informed. I wish you would understand my policies when I stand for.
What policies?
Why
What
would I get
policies?
rid of the PBS? Why would I do that? When it's beneficial to the Australian people. It is not. It is not. It's not about government waste. I wish you really
So who's saying PBS is a waste?
please go and understand. Stop making these allegations that are clearly untrue and what you're misinformed. You really are. You have no idea what you're talking about.
How about you listen to the press conference and then you might be more informed?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you very much for everyone coming today. It's very important, this by-election for Victoria. Lead up to the election in November of this year. People in Victoria are looking for change. They want change.
Hey, just shut up, mate. Shut up. Give other people a go. Shut up.
And they want change in this state. As I've said many times, Victoria is a basket case. And I won't hold back on that. What I've seen, and my time down here and talking to people last night and this morning, is that they're terrified of lack of services in the state, wasteful spending, then you have the increased taxes. It's driving people out of your state. And productivity, where the state's moving forward, it's not. It is not moving forward. Now, I'm pleased to announce Darren as our candidate for the Napier purpose. Darren, thank you very much for taking on this role to be a candidate. It's very important not only to One Nation,
Has he been vetted
but
yet?
also for the state election coming up. So just want to thank you. He's a businessman. You know what it's like to run a business, to actually try and make ends meet. He's employed staff. He's told me now he's had to put 4 staff off in this last year. So Darren, I'm going to leave it to you to speak to the people.
Well, thanks, Pauline. Yeah, it's been difficult for small business. Once I've had to put people off, and we've had a 40% downturn, and it's the state taxes are killing us. The land tax, mine's increased by 700%. The workers' compensation, it's gone up sort of 84%. The state levy on that, so that's pretty much doubled. And the emergency fire services levy on our rates too is increased. But we've got other issues too, like the Westmont Hospital. There's just no funding for it. Last year, we got $4 million into it for emergency repairs and maintenance, and we need a new hospital.
How's the reception been since you put your hand up?
Amazing. We're getting a lot of support down here. People in Victoria, they want change.
We're happy to answer some questions now about the article in The Age today about you receiving donations to your bank account. I believe you said that you didn't know that was happening.
No. Look, it's no comment. It's in the hands of the lawyers at the moment. Okay, I'm sorry.
All lawyers?
No, I have been briefed on this. Let me make it quite clear. I did ask questions of Darren before coming here and allegations coming from disgruntled former members of the party. They've had no involvement in it at all. They were actually left. Darren is endorsed as the candidate. They have no understanding of what's going on.
Disgruntled members, former members of One
But
Nation.
what Darren
believe?
was referring to, correct, former disgruntled members, and one of them wanted to be the candidate, was not chosen as the candidate. So what we have said is these are false allegations. I'm quite prepared to put it in the hands of lawyers to have this fully investigated, because I'm fed up with people making false allegations against One Nation, and I will see it through.
Are you going to sue those people who've made these
I will-
allegations then?
Yes, I'm quite happy to take it on. I am. I'm not going to keep putting up these false allegations against, the party and the executive and these type of things. These are disgruntled people, and it's constantly going on, and I will challenge them over it.
What was your take on the High Court decision the other day
With regards to
with regard to political donations that were capped at $4,000 for minor parties and independents?
yes,
And then the High Court has said
that's
unconstitutional. Now we're in a kind of free-for-all period before new legislation comes in. So this actually is not really a problem, even if it was true, but you say it isn't. What was your take on that High Court decision? Are you pleased to see that there are no longer caps?
Look, I don't believe in internationals can involve in donations to political parties, but we've got, look, let's be fair about this, honest about it too. The Labor Party put caps on it, and the Greens want to put caps on it, but they still get funded by the unions. So there's a back door. So they only do it, to stop minor parties or other people, independents, having a go at politics, but they want to shut anyone else down. If you're going to do it fair right across the board. Get the unions, get the Greenies and all these climate change organisations out of the picture as well.
And that needs to be done, you think, before this coming by-election or before the coming state election?
It's going to take a while before you can actually get that sorted out in light of the High Court decision. And Pauline is also challenging the election in the federal arena as well.
So there'd be a bit of an opportunity now then for you guys to get a lot of donations in here without any restriction.
We don't get big donations from by corporations or from unions like the other political parties do, and I thank the people who are backing us with that. So this has been a grassroots campaign that's been run by Darren. We haven't had big donations coming into us.
So where are those donations going? Exactly.
Where are the donations
Where do they
going?
go? Where do they end up? What bank account? Sorry. Darren?
Well, the state, One Nation state executive account, the party's account. I've been using my own personal credit card for a lot of my campaign, and that's the truth.
And you weren't sure about that yesterday, so have you sort of sought more information about it overnight, or?
Look, no, I don't have any visibility of the finances.
Shouldn't you though, as you're running for state elections, you should have some visibility over where your funds are coming from?
No, why?
Why
Who runs that then?
You're
Why do
running
you think the
the-
mainstream media doesn't focus so hard when the Labor Party has donations? They seem to have extra scrutiny on you guys. Why is that? Why do they have so much resources to...
It constantly is. Now, let me tell you, as you come in as a candidate, it's all very new to anyone who's never done it before. And the structure behind it is that we try and do it properly through the state executive to set up a bank account, and everything has to go through it. Candidates really are not across. It's very complex, and what the rules and regulations are, we try to guide them to the best of our ability to make sure it's done correct and above board. All candidates, all political parties are actually able to go through and investigate it. It has to, under the Electoral Commission. So these allegations that you're putting to us will be shown up to be untrue at the end of the day.
How much have you received in donations?
Look, I'm not going to keep going on with this. We've answered your question with it. You're not going to do that to me or to our candidate here about how much we've received in donations. You want to do it, you're going to do it to the other candidates that are here. So
Is this a way for them to protect professional politicians? Is that what we're saying?
Look, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm not going to focus the whole media press conference here based on what's happening. What is important in this electorate is this hospital.
Tell us about why you're here at the hospital.
All right. What I've heard about it is that people, even the conscience went to last night tonight, they're not getting decent health care. They're fed up that no money's being put into this hospital. The one not far from here, $1.5 billion put into it. What you've got here is a failing hospital. The whole state is failing in providing services to the to see as a policy of One Nation is to get rid of the double handling in state and federal Department of Health. You only need one. What I would like to see is federal funding to go directly to a hospital. Hospitals should set up their own hospital boards, and then they direct the funding where it needs to go in that hospital. Get the bureaucrats, get the ministers out of it, get it taking 20% off the top as administration by the states, and put the money directly to the hospital boards. Who will benefit from it? The patients. Who will benefit? The nursing staff, the doctors, everyone there, because they know what money needs to be spent and where it should be spent. So this is very important to us. Another nurse spoke to me before. She said, what else is needed for nurses? I said, okay. What I'd like to see, we've got so many nurses, RNs, different ones, in jobs during COVID. What I'd like to see, pay them to go back to do their course again, get them back into the system. A lot of these want to work. They'll throw them on the scrap heap because of COVID. Get them back into the
You mean the ones that wouldn't get vaccinated?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not promising here anything to do with the Liberals' promise that they've made for this hospital? Or you're obviously on board with a redevelopment of this hospital?
You know what? I've only just come in yesterday, and I'm not going to make policy on done with regards to media. Only I can go on what I've been told. This needs to be scrapped, and you need a damn new hospital. That's up to date. That's my opinion. Can the state afford it? That's another thing.
So where will the money
Because
come
you-
from for the new
because you're-
hospital?
You know what you need to do? Cut back on some of your public servants in the state. Cut back on government spending. The waste of money that's going on in the
Like
state.
the PBS.
You're up to $185 billion debt in the state. It's out of control. So they're taxing people to help. You know what they're doing? Your land tax. You think that's the answer to it? Is keep increasing your taxes all the time. Well, what's going under? Business is going under.
But you're
So
going to
they
stop
can't-
immigration.
Could we finish this? I'm sorry.
So that needs to be. You can't keep taxing people to the hilt, and you can't keep the government spending out of control. So it's a catch-22 here.
Darren, you said that you could redevelop the hospital through a PPP, and that could cover $340 worth, which I believe is the entire amount needed. Could you just explain how that would work?
Private investors would invest in it. There'd be private consultating suites and a public hospital as well.
And that would cover the entire cost.
Well, look, I don't know the numbers that much.
Well, this is your policy.
Yeah. Well, the Liberals come up with 340 million. So if they're saying it's enough, it probably is.
So you'd partially privatise the local hospital here.
Well, privately funded. Yeah. So
In the build itself, but then the state would run it?
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
You've had a lot of success around the nation lately, especially in your primary vote.
Yeah.
Is it smart? We just heard from the state Liberals that they'll be putting you third. Is that a smart thing for them? Do you think that they should join with you in order to get a better preference deal together? And are you in discussions about doing that with the state Liberals?
Is that in the seat here?
Yes.
Again,
So they've said
putting-
this morning at their
third?
press conference,
Okay. So
Liberals, Libertarians, One Nation.
Okay. It will basically come to us. Although there is a libertarian in between, the libertarians will go out before One Nation.
And then therefore in that next round, you'll end up with all of
Correct.
theirs anyway.
Correct.
Is that a deal that you've done
No.
behind closed doors?
No, we haven't done a deal. I haven't even spoken with Jess Wilson at all.
Would you like to?
Well, of course I'd like to speak to her. We're on the same page as Conservatives by all means. I said, what's our aim? Is to get rid of Labor in the state, isn't it? Isn't that what it's about? We'll call for accountability. So that's our aim.
Would you call on her then to say, join me in a preference deal?
You don't need to have any preference deal, as I said to people. And I don't like this about preference deals. What I try to inform people is how the voting system works. I'd rather educate people instead of feel that they're being controlled by the major political parties, but or by any party for that matter. Let's inform people how the preference system works. That's my answer.
Which way are your preferences going for this by-election?
Well, definitely be the Greens and Labor last, and the Teals. Definitely will be.
So Lib second?
We have to look at the policy, how they are. I'm not telling you, I'm not, vote cards are only a recommendation. And as I've been speaking to people this morning, you learn how the preference system
Senator, is Jason Smart still welcome as a One Nation member, and would he make a good future candidate?
Who's Jason Smart?
Okay, I'll take that as an answer. And Darren, can we just ask a bit more about you, what you stand for? We were talking earlier about nurses who haven't been vaccinated. Some One Nation members are very much against vaccines. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I mean, I think vaccination's important, particularly for diseases like polio and stuff like that. Yeah, I think we need to do that.
You think everyone should get vaccinated?
Well, I think people should have a choice.
Are you conflating COVID vaccines? I think there's a bit of confusion.
No, I think he's asking about
Just general? Are you talking about? Are you
So,
talking about
He's
general?
asking about vaccines.
As a party,
Darren is the candidate.
Yeah, but is that part of state policy?
No?
Is state policy force people to have vaccinations?
Yes.
It has. Really? The COVID you did force people, so I'm sorry, we're totally opposed to having COVID vaccinations. And
Forced on
people. And
Yes.
correct. And your COVID injuries, it's up to a person's individual choice if they want to have vaccinations, but I will not force anyone to have anything put in the body if they don't.
Lived in the area, you know, your connections, etc.
Yeah, well, I was born in Frankston, but we moved to Perth in 2000, and then we came back here in 2010.
And
So
how-
I've been here 16, 15 years.
How would you describe the, I guess, quality of life in the electorate across the last decade?
Oh, look, I think it's over the last 2 or 3 years it's deteriorated. People, you know, finding it tougher at the supermarket checkout. Bills are going up, electricity, and it's just all from poor fiscal management from the current Labor government.
So what are you promising locals if you win, if you were to win this by-election? What are your promises that you're...
I'll promise I'll fight as hard as I can to get the best outcomes for people, for all Australians.
Well, that's what all politicians fight for, though. What specifically...
What makes you like
what makes you different?
Yeah.
What's the difference between you and the Liberal candidate?
Well, yeah, I live and work in the electorate, yeah, and I'm representing One Nation.
Do you think you're going to win?
Yeah, I believe we will.
And if you do lose, will you run in November?
100%. I'm here for the duration.
Pauline, what's the reception you've got on local?
Reception I've got locally,
Yep.
fantastic reception, it really was. Last night I walked in a room with hundreds of people there and it was packed out, and again this morning the barbecue. So people clearly want change in this state, and it's great. It's quite heartening. People, and a lot of the young ones coming up and I said, why are you getting interested in politics? They said, we can't see the future of us owning our own home. Actually, the whole system, they feel let down if they're going to get a job or not. So it's good to see the young ones coming forward. And I was asked by this couple who runs a podcast earlier, kids, and they said, what are you going to do about the educational system? We need to get rid of teaching about Aboriginal history alone, that we are all Australians together, and that we need to go back to the basics of what education is all about. We need to prepare the kids for the future and make them resilient. And I don't think we've done enough of that. And there has to be, discipline in our classrooms as well, because life's not easy when you get through to the other side. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen,
Can I just clarify? You guys deny that a personal bank account has been set up to manage campaign expenses, but can you just confirm whether the advice is issued from Warren? Whether Warren advised Darren? Are you happy to just clarify that in front of the members?
I don't need to, right?
Can Pauline then? Yeah.
so anyway, there will, like I said, there's always an audit done on donations, everything that comes from the party, that's done by the electoral commission on any candidate whatsoever, so we're going to go through that process. Thank you.
Darren, just one more question about you and your just one more.
I wish that
Just
we
one more
had this
question.
much about the red shirts in Victoria. About any of Adrian and red shirts.
Are the cameras still? This is the least racist woman I have ever met. Absolutely. Swear to God.
Thanks for coming to Rosebud, Pauline. Thanks for coming.
In the change here. Benji, you alright?
The government is
So your main aim
Rosebud Plaza said he changed it.